Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, World Alternative Media here, and of course we're joined by author and economic analyst here at WAM, John Sneisen, and Facebook has taken the biggest hit in its stock in American history. It's absolutely unbelievable what's happening at Facebook, but really, if you really think a little bit about it, it's really not that surprising at all, because we've known how Facebook has slowly ensured that the user friendliness has gotten worse and worse. They've censored people, they've taken political sides on both sides on different occasions, everything from Cambridge Analytica to censoring conservatives to, I mean, there's so many problems that Facebook has had, and of course, you have to look at the history of Facebook. I mean, Facebook, I believe this personally, this is my opinion, but Facebook has always been a way to collect people's information, and in order to basically have people say, here, instead of bugging my house, here's everything I ate for dinner, where I went, everything I've done, GPS tracker everywhere, blah, 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 this is what I'm doing right now and what I'm going to do, just so that the government has all that information. But on the other hand, I wanted to get into this Financial Post article originally published by Bloomberg News, which says, Facebook has the biggest stock wipeout in American history. And as the article says, it's official. Facebook Inc. just had the biggest stock market wipeout in American history. Shares tumbled 19% on Thursday to close at $176.26 after sales and user growth disappointed investors the day before. The drop translates to a US $119.4 billion decline in market capitalization, the largest ever loss of value in one day for a US traded company. Chief executive Mark Zuckerberg's fortune took an almost $16 billion hit. Analysts who follow Facebook were blindsided Wednesday when Chief Financial Officer David Weiner said revenue growth rates would decline in the third and fourth quarters. They asked frequently on an earnings conference call with executives for more information on exactly how the company's financial future had changed so dramatically. And I quote, "I think many investors are having a hard time reconciling that deceleration," Brent Thill, an analyst at Jefferies LLC, told Facebook executives, asking for a little more clarity on the reasoning. "It just seems like the magnitude is beyond anything we've seen, especially across a number of the tech companies we cover." Before the results, Facebook had 44 buy ratings, 2 sells, and 2 holds. A few analysts tempered their outlook Thursday. So a lot of this, I can't help but remember that I think it was a few months back, after the whole Cambridge Analytica thing, or around that period of time, Mark Zuckerberg sent a message throughout Facebook to all users, and it showed up at the top of my newsfeed. I wish I screenshotted it. Maybe I'll find it. If not, just stay with me. So basically, he said that they were stopping showing people, businesses and pages on Facebook and saying, well, we know what you want to see, as if they speak for me. We know what you want to see. You want to see posts from your family. So we're just going to make sure that most of the stuff that comes up on your newsfeed is from your family. And it's basically shadow banning other people. And with that same message, he also announced that, look, I know we're going to lose money on it, but it's good for the psychology of the populace. So obviously this watered down way to basically censor people and stop people from getting certain information, because like the internet, likely started by the government, but it went against them when people started using that tool against the establishment to bring information to the forefront of news and break free in a more decentralized way from the mainstream media on television. And I think that this is a great example of what happens, because Facebook has been going downhill for a long time. Everyone I see on Facebook right now talking about it, interestingly on Facebook, is talking about, how long will it be until Facebook goes the way of MySpace? Because MySpace by 2009 had basically been wiped out, and they were a huge company at one point. So anyway, John, what do you got on this? This is a huge loss for a company, no matter what kind of business they're in.
Well, yeah, it's similar to their 14% loss that was just when the Cambridge Analytica scandal came out. So it's like they had some pretty big hits to their stock. That
was just in March, right?
Yeah, that was just in March, and we'll show you the stats so you can actually see how that happened. Actually, the stock is still higher than that right now. But what I wanted to tell you about Facebook is that they've censored me back in 2013. They deleted my account with over almost 5,000 people that I had on there. So I had to rebuild my account, and now I'm finally back at the number again, because Facebook just said that, oh yeah, we're just gonna remove you from Facebook. You don't have anything. I tried to, reboot it and come after them. Got nothing back. I said like, what about all the pictures that I put on there and so on that I had there? It's like nothing. You don't hear anything from Facebook whatsoever. So that's another interesting thing on top of, constantly stopping us from sharing our content. I shared in 2 groups that I know that are very pro what we're doing. And then suddenly I got taken out because I was banned because of sharing. Yeah.
I mean, John, I've been banned because I shared in the World Alternative Media group, which I started on Facebook. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's been going this way for a long time, John, because they have been attempting to shadow ban people and push people's messages to the sideline so that people won't see it. And as Project Veritas has come out with in recent days regarding Twitter, they do shadow banning. And while they say that they don't, they get them on hidden camera saying, well, we do shadow ban, and Reddit does it, and a lot of other big social media networks do it. And the way is that they basically just stop people from seeing it, and even if you share it or retweet it, very few people will engage in it.
Yeah. Well, what I want to show you something really interesting. We're going to look at some more numbers of not just Facebook. I actually pulled up some other numbers to show you, how Facebook is doing versus others and so on, just to give you a head of, where is social media heading, big social media. Now, let's take a look at Facebook right now, and I just want to show you their price earnings ratio. And if we go, I think it's between 10 and 13 or 14. That is just normal valuation. Anything over there is excessively overvalued, and Facebook is currently at 24.35 in price earnings ratio. So you see that they're severely overvalued. I want to show you some more social media or big, tech companies. For example, Google is actually even more overvalued at 34.52 in price earnings ratio. If you go to the worst one, which is Twitter, of course, another censure, big censure. And I think it's kind of like what we're seeing is the actual value and revenue that they're making. They're almost like become, monopolies where they're getting funded by the government. And what is happening is that they're becoming way overvalued to what actually people believe in their value is. And people are flooding away from a lot of these platforms because they're getting censored and stopped, if they have a certain point of view. And it's complete free speech censorship. But of course, it's by corporations. So that corporation is, could do whatever they want. I'm not saying that it's bad what they're doing, because they could choose to do that. But then people just find other free market solutions, and we'll get back to that right away. I know you're going to talk about that, Josh. But look at 87.66% price earnings ratio for Twitter. We're gonna talk about a little bit more what Josh is going to get into, the death of all these platforms, because it's just ridiculous, Josh, what they've done to their own demise, if you can say.
Yeah, well, I think it's important to point out that it's wrong to look at companies like Facebook, Google, and etc. as private businesses. They're not private businesses. They are heavily government subsidized. They've got billions of dollars over the years through different ways from the government, and out in the open subsidies, Facebook has gotten $333 million since 2010 from the government. Yeah, and that's complete monopolization, and that isn't a private business, but they've also got other ways that money has gotten in there through the CIA, etc. We've gone into a bit of that in the past, how Google worked with the CIA as well. So I mean, I think it's really important that we look at it from the perspective of this isn't any more a free market as it is a surveillance agency that we willingly participate in, and we have to slowly move away from this. Now, there's one good thing about Facebook, YouTube, and these other platforms, and that is that it's not yet an echo chamber, though they're quickly trying to make it so. It's somewhere where they can see suggested videos on YouTube, or they could see posts from someone else on Facebook, comments, etc. If you're not completely shadow banned or banned from pages like Occupy Democrats, which is very, very usual when you type in something that disagrees with them in any way. But with that said, I mean, when you comment on things or when you have a suggested video, you reach people outside of your bubble. Now, that's my one issue with Steemit and DTube. That's my one positive thing I have to say about Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that. So with that that said, moving on to the alternatives, there are alternatives. There's countless alternatives, and not just for media, but for individuals to interact with each other, for people to be able to invest in certain cryptocurrencies and decentralize their life with something like Steemit. Whereas, you can post something all day on Facebook, and what does that get you? Well, probably a lot of troll comments and people calling you names. And then you post on Steemit, and you can actually make a few dollars.
Yeah,
The worst that can happen on Steemit is that you don't make much money. Wow, terrible, but you're on a decentralized platform. But then when you look at the best thing that can happen on something like Steemit is that you can make millions of dollars. Now, I wouldn't say that that's going to happen for everyone, because it certainly won't. But over time, it's allowed people to get into cryptocurrencies that have made them very, very wealthy over the last several years. People that have gotten onto Steemit. DTube is a great alternative to YouTube. One critique I would have to send that way is people at Steemit start accepting memberships at a faster rate, because people have been trying to get accounts on there, and it takes way too long to get an account, which has actually screwed over a lot of people from actually getting on the platform. So guys, you got to work on that. But otherwise, I mean, this is so much better than Facebook and YouTube and these other, antiquated, more centralized, applications where you can decentralize, you can have the alternative, you can find ways to talk with your friends, you can not be censored, no one can stop you from saying what you think what you believe, what you think is true. People can downvote you, fine, but the company itself can't take down your post, can't delete things and erase history like book burning. They can't just shut you down, terminate you, send you away, and then tell you that you can't come back. It's on the blockchain, and it's a proxy on the blockchain, and it's very, very, very important that people look into these decentralized methods of breaking free from this complex that is Facebook, Google, and the government, because again, it is very closely connected to the government. So with Facebook, people are saying, well, will it go down in the next year? Will it go down in the next 5 years? Probably in the next 5 years, I would say, is more likely. In the next year, I don't think so. This might have been the biggest stock wipeout in American history in one day, but I mean, if you look at
the beginning, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a beginning. It's not going to be gone tomorrow. I think it'll probably be around even 10, 15 years from now. It's just probably not used by a lot of people. MySpace is still around if you go and check that out. I found my old MySpace. That was interesting. Blast from the past. But anyway, John, finishing it off, what is your bottom line as we close off this report, and what should people do to avoid this kind of insanity that is the censorship of Facebook and giving all your information to the government?
Well, I think first of all, just move yourself away from these platforms, because there's a big problem of course, the funnel that goes to the NSA. Find other ways where you could put in your information that is decentralized. It's not under central control. It cannot be taken by any central entity like the NSA and a whole wide array of other central agencies around the world, and subsidiaries of the NSA, you can call them. You need to move to a way to have a free way of transacting on the internet. I know it's hard in these days to have too much privacy, but you can have way more privacy than you have today with all these platforms under the table giving your information away to whoever pays the most amount of money, because that's what it is. It's your information is for sale, and they are just information big data gathering platforms that just take that and they make billions upon billions of dollars on your information. And as Cambridge Analytica is just one of them. There's tons of them out there, and it's just continuing to going on. In my point of view, I don't think it stopped with Cambridge Analytica. It was just because it was in a political sense that it happened. So yeah, it just happens everywhere, and we just need to recognize that some of these platforms are massive monopolies, and they're dying. They're in their dying years. I was on Facebook in 2007. I remember, or something, and I used social media platforms forever. I remember the competitor to LinkedIn, Rise, which is still around. We were talking about MySpace. So there's these platforms, are still around, and I don't think they're gonna die, as you said. I just think the free market will move to whatever is the best solution to give them, the best value for their money. And today, with some of these new decentralized platforms actually paying you to do some stuff on their platforms instead of these conglomerates making billions upon billions of dollars in ad revenue from your activity, it's kind of nonsense to be on these platforms. Just move over.
Yeah, absolutely. Smart media tokens on the Steam blockchain are incredible ways to avoid having to be beholden to advertisers. But I do want to ask the audience, please comment below. Have you guys ever heard of Yashi, Y-A-S-H-I? It was a streaming video website that existed before YouTube, and I was on that before YouTube, and there's nothing written anywhere on the internet about it. You search it up, there's some other company. There is no history of it having ever existed. Someday that's going to happen to some of these guys. Well, maybe not YouTube and stuff. People will remember it, but just tell me if you know about it, because I found YouTube on, I think, the 5th or 6th page of Google looking up live streaming or streaming video websites years ago. I remember there's almost nothing on YouTube. So it's incredible to watch how it's grown and then started to fall, just like
the
Facebook.
fault was Google buying them, basically.
Facebook, you're allowed notes and a few pictures, and you can, it says is doing something years ago. It's grown a lot and then again has fallen a lot. It's unfortunate how everything is always taken over by someone. But I want you guys to go out instead as well, instead of sitting on your computer all day trying to get likes, go out to a restaurant or a bar or something like that, meet with your friends, talk, hang out. Don't spend your entire time taking selfies and, you know, and then posting them on Facebook and then looking at your phone all night like this. There is a psychological problem happening to the populace right now as well. It's a great way to spread information, but guys, we have gotten far too carried away with staring at stuff all day. I have to, it's my job. But I mean, really, people need to get out of the house more and talk with their friends and family and break free from that, because it's a very freeing feeling after you get over the the addiction like a drug to these social medias. After a few days you forget they even exist, and John and I kind of saw that to some degree ourselves when we went around the United States recently, driving around the desert and the mountains and stuff. It was incredible because it's like, wow, I'm not on my phone all the time. I'm experiencing things. Wow, look, there's a mountain, there's a cloud, there's a rainstorm, there's a person over there doing that. And I mean, it's an incredibly freeing feeling. So I really advocate people finding ways to try being self-sustainable, learn how to do things, and stop going blind because you're giving the glasses manufacturers a ton of money in the future. It's getting really bad, folks. So people, free yourselves and find another way. Anyway, thanks for going into this with us, John. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdsson and John Sneisen signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Like what you see here, OM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so overwhelmingly demonetized by YouTube as they bring in the ADL to flag all of our content as hate speech. Also check our Bitcoin address in the description as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also check us out at Steemit at Josh Sigurdsson, the future of social media, where you get paid in the upvote of your post in cryptocurrency, Steem that is. So don't forget to check us out there and find us at Anarchapulco 2019. I know it's early, but this is such an exciting event coming up with Ron Paul, Judge Napolitano, David Icke, Larkin Rose, Jeff Berwick, all the usual characters, and it's going to be amazing. So we hope to see you there. Make sure to check the link for Anarchapulco below and use promo code WHAM to save as much as 15% on your tickets. We hope to see you there. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdsson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.